Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Merry Christmas to all. My name is Taylor Jones and welcome back to my YouTube channel, TC Jones Edits. And also, I'd like to welcome you to my second episode. No, not episode, second season of Cold Man's Winter. Yes, I decided to get myself together, get myself prepared for a new season, which I mentioned there will be more than one video a week, and I'm striving to do so. But of course, I gotta keep improvising, keep the energy going, do what I love. So I never thought I would see myself film on Friday, the day of Christmas of 2020, and before we start this video, the debut episode of the second season of Cold Man's Winter, I would like to give all my prayers and to everybody in Nashville after the so-called explosion that took place. A lot of racism never died down, terrorism, it never died down. But of course, to make matters worse, the pandemic never died down, and I'm not going to even think about that right now because at this point, this episode, the debut episode of Cold Man's Winter Season 2, will be based on the word depression. Now, that came up to my head because I've been in this situation before and I tell you, it sucks. But I'm going to break it down like this. What is depression? How do you get it? Where is it going to lead you to? Those are the questions that we need to keep in mind. Ask ourselves over and over again. Like, could there be a good way to rid it? And if not, why we still have to suffer? You know, it's kind of funny that we do not take these serious issues for granted. I mean, it's just too much right now. But when it comes to depression, it's when you're in a dark mood where you feel like you don't belong. You're like an outcast. You're not accepted, and you are always crying, you're always hurt, you're always angry against the world. Me against the world type vibe. And even when it means to smoke, to drink, to overeat, like you can't stop. It's like an addiction. Depression is like an addiction. And this so called drug is driving us insane to the fact that we even get ourselves killed over it. Like Kurt Cobain, Robin Williams, the lead singer Chester from Linkin Park. I mean, when will this ever die down? And to break it all down, I'll give you a story. Now, summer 1984, in the month of August, that is, school just started. Two kids that were best friends for the longest time. They have always been by each other's sides through good and bad. And David and Suzanne were the names. They were just glad to attend high school, fresh out of junior high, and starting to get their acts together. But throughout the years, like mostly in middle school, David was struggling with his grades, and some of the people teased on him, some of the classmates. But Suzanne was like, "That is enough. Y'all don't see you complaining about me. You leave him alone." And with all that, they started getting intimate. Well, no, not intimate. They just got closer. Like they started a friendship and then they're getting closer. But they're still friends. They never dated. So, for throughout middle school, David and Suzanne, they actually know each other personally. They tell each other their secrets, and also, yeah, they decided to help each other out. And Suzanne helped David get his grades together. And throughout the years in middle school, David started getting a trend that he's getting better and better and better. However, when high school began in 1984, let's just say that they started off in a good vibe, a good mood, until two random teenagers, 2 years older than them, juniors, junior year, 16-year-old Bruno and 17-year-old Shanice. When they spotted them, let's say that they started picking on them in mid-September of 84. Why? They were like the baddest teenage duo in the school. Oh, sorry. There's some. Yeah, there's some in the other room. I forgot about that. Oh, they're clean. Yes, that was my sister. But anyway, the two kids, Bruno and Shanice, they started approaching both David and Suzanne. And let's just say that they were sarcastic. But unfortunately, Shanice went way too far. Now, they probably disappointed Bruno and Shanice. They were disappointed to see new recruits, and they decided, let's pick on them. They're freshmen, and we'll probably let me see how they gonna react. So for a couple of months they've been picked at. David and Suzanne were picked upon by Bruno and Shanice. And oh boy, let's just say that it's been happening all year long. But unfortunately, despite David and Suzanne were close friends, Suzanne started getting depressed after being bullied day after day after day. But every night she doesn't feel like herself. She started getting vulnerable. And yes, she had to keep on going. I mean, life is life. And even she told David about the situation. And David was like, look, as much as it bugs me, I am not going to let them idiots get the best of us. All we have to do is keep on going. Even when we can't escape from them. But if they try to do something stupid, we go for the kill. As in we fight back. So, before freshman year was over, like the last day of school, they decided to fight back. Because Shanice and Bruno, they were trying to pick on David and Suzanne, and then like they trying to Dave and Suzanne sitting in a tree, KISSING, and you know the first thing that happened, Dave was like, oh really? Well, you got a problem with that? You got a problem with us freshmen? You've been acting like jerks throughout the entire year, and I'm sick of it. So, David started getting brave and proving that Shanice and Bruno need to step off. And even though Suzanne was depressed still, she was like, what he said. And I think you two are no longer cool. Because guess what? Your so-called gags are so lame that you don't even have a clue how you gonna survive. And you so-called juniors, y'all don't know when to grow up, do you? So that silenced both Bruno and Shanice for a while. Matter of fact, for the summer, but in sophomore year, Bruno and Shanice had a plan to make matters worse. Since they became seniors, Bruno and Shanice made it clear that we're gonna make fun of the same two individuals. Matter of fact, the younger classmen, the lower classmen, freshmen, sophomores, probably juniors. And they did all that throughout 84, 85, 86 school year. However, when sophomore year began for David and Suzanne, Bruno and Shanice made matters worse. Made Suzanne's depression go from bad to worse. Depression, that is. Suzanne was so depressed to the fact that she don't even talk to her family anymore. She don't even talk to anybody. But David was the one that's trying to keep her from losing her cool. He even wanted her to pray. Pray for the enemies as much as your neighbors. Pray without ceasing. But sometimes Suzanne felt like prayers was not enough. So, October 1985, Suzanne really had enough. Because Bruno and Shanice made the dumbest decisions and the worst for everybody. Because they exposed, since they were seniors, they felt like they should expose the entire lower classmen from freshmen to juniors. However, it got so frustrating that Suzanne felt unwelcome to this high school anymore. Matter of fact, unwelcome everywhere she goes. Cause every time she had visions of Bruno and Shanice like bats swarming around, or worse, bees swarming around trying to sting you. Just like, or worse, murder hornets. So, one October, while Suzanne was heading to her locker, putting up her books, and getting another set of books for her class, let's just say Bruno went way over the top. He had a bag full of dog poop inside. What the? What's this? Oh! And everybody heard her scream like, oh! Like, what's wrong? Yo, Suzanne, what's wrong? Oh, B.U., what is that dog poop doing here? And also, everybody heard Shanice laughing. And even the senior classmates were like, yo, what the heck? I think Shanice and Bruno are taking this too far. And even David was like, oh no, not again. They started, but unfortunately, what made matters worse, David, when he went in his locker, let's just say that a bag of weed was found in his locker. What the? So, and it was all thanks to Shanice. Suzanne got a bag full of dog poop, and David got a bag full of weed. And they want to convince the principal that the so-called gig was getting out of hand. But unfortunately, the principal was out of town. I mean, based on the society that they were living in at the time, it's careless. The school was careless. I mean, everybody, even the seniors, were not pleased with Bruno and Shanice's ill will towards the lower classmen. And David and Shanice were stuck. Heck, they were even exposed too. Exposed. Like, unfortunately, before the so-called suspension for David, Suzanne looked David in his eyes with tears coming down like, I can't take it anymore. I gotta put an end to this. We gotta put an end to this. And I say, I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. Look, I was found with weed in my book bag. In my locker. What's the worst thing they're gonna do to me? They're gonna suspend you. For how long? Indefinitely or... Indefinitely? I'm not gonna miss school for nothing. I'm not a troublemaker. Well, we gotta keep going with the flow. That's why I'm gonna end it. Tonight. No, you are not. You are not gonna kill yourself. Think about this. You are my friend. And I'm not gonna let you go far. But I've been depressed because of Bruno and Shanice for a year now. And now it's getting to the matter of time that I can't even fight anymore. Look, I am not going to let you do this to yourself. Listen, I love to stick with you, but sometimes you gotta fight your own battles. Guess it's best if we parted ways. No, we have to. There's no other choice, David. I gotta end this. Look, as much as we've been cool for a couple years, or like nearly decades, I don't know how long, for life, I refuse to let you do something stupid. Think about that. Even tonight. And Suzanne was like, okay, I'll do so. So, later that day, both David suspended from school, all because of a prank, all because of a so-called joke turned bad. Suzanne, on the other hand, she went home. Her parents were not around. A note was left on the paper. We're out on the town. We'll be back at 6 o'clock. Make yourself at home. So, at 5 p.m., Suzanne made a video telling the whole world that she has suffered from depression and life was not going well for her. And not only that, before she ended the video, she told David, if you're watching this, just know I love you. And then the videotape stopped playing because she stopped the video. So throughout her closet, in her closet, there was a pistol. Well, it was a shoebox with a pistol inside. A Colt 1911 pistol. Chrome, silver, shiny. And yet, she got on her vinyl. Her family had a vinyl, a turntable, whatever you call it. And she played Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody. She held the gun, sat on her bed, listening to Freddie Mercury's words. Mama just killed a man, put a gun against his head, pulled my trigger, now he's dead. But her parents, they were coming home, and it was around 5:58, and the song was continued playing back in her room, Suzanne's room. And unfortunately, the part when oh, Mamma Mia, Mamma Mia, Mamma Mia, let me go. Ooh. Sorry. I'm a little tired. The part of oh Mamma Mia, Mamma Mia, Mamma Mia, let me go. Beelzebub has a devil put aside for me, for me, for me. The first time they said for me, Suzanne cocked the gun. Now remember, it was a Colt 1911. She cocked her gun for me, aimed it on the left side of her head. For me, for me. And before the change of the song, she said, Lord, forgive me. As in like this. Beelzebub has a devil put aside for me. For me. For me. Lord, forgive me. After shooting herself in the head, she fell to the floor, bleeding to death. It made matters worse. After the part of everywhere the wind blows, boy, when the gong was playing, her parents came in right on time. Well, to her room. They were already in the house. Honey, we're home. Suzanne, are you okay? I think, where's the tape? Where's the vinyl? She put it in her room. Why am I hearing Queen? Suzanne! Suzanne, are you there? Oh my gosh! Oh, Suzanne, no! What happened? The gun. Oh no. Quick, call 911 right now. I will do, honey. And yes, the parents called 911. Their daughter was found dead. They were not even pleased. They were just frustrated, just shocked to see their daughter dead. But unfortunately, it was later reported on the 10 o'clock news. And this was like 4 hours later. 6 o'clock, Bohemian Rhapsody finished playing. The parents were already home because they made it back safe and sound. They checked on their daughter in their room, found the dead body, called the police, 911 ambulance, and then 10 o'clock, a somber moment. And even though before she pulled the trigger, she had visions of her and David, good times and bad times, even the times when they stood up against Shanice and Bruno. And there were more times when Bruno and Shanice just spread a big dark cloud in Shanice's life. No, Suzanne's life. But then the very next day, something terrible went down. And I can't believe it. This is ridiculous. What's up? Have you heard the news? Suzanne just pulled the trigger. Wait, what? She pulled the trigger? How you know that? Look, man, her parents came home, right? They spotted her laying there with a gun right beside her. And not to mention, we just mentioned there's a video right now. Wait, a video? Let the whole school see it. So, the seniors, the couple seniors that identified what went down the night before, Suzanne's suicide, they played a video, which was a final video that was made by Suzanne, admitting that she had depression. And when unfortunately, David was not at school at the time. Because of that stupid prank, Shanice and Bruno were like, they didn't care. Like, they high-fived each other. It's having a time of their life. Like the devil. But unfortunately, Suzanne's parents came to David's home. I'm looking for David. Yes. This is for you. What's this? It's a videotape. We made copies of it. And it's from Suzanne. What happened to her? She's gone. And now David started feeling depressed after his friend died. He watched the video. He's like, oh my gosh. But unfortunately, the so-called principal that was out of town, out of his office, he felt like he felt betrayed more often. I mean, to not care about the students being bullied, he felt like this was all his fault. He should have kept his eye on Bruno and Shanice, but no. He even spoke in Suzanne's funeral. So after the funeral, life went completely downhill for David. Even though he kept his grades up to keep Suzanne's legacy alive, it still got worse. He was so depressed to the fact that he started drinking a lot of soda. He was hurt. He didn't even talk to anybody. He didn't even hang out anymore. He always stayed home. But unfortunately, he knew he did not want to follow the same step that Suzanne made. His best friend, before she died, told him in video that she loved him. I guess the reason why they didn't go on a date is because they figured that they were too young for that, and they decided to wait till after high school. And to what? To date? or maybe wait till junior year for prom. They were close to each other. They were intimate, but they had to keep it cool. They had to play it safe and like wait until they were old enough to fall in love. But since Shanice and Bruno screwed that up and got David suspended, the school board had the right to bring back the officers responsible for sending David home. Sir, I believe your men made a big mistake. Something is going on. Well, but sir, we found weed in his locker, but it wasn't his. So at the right time, even though it was way too late for David, he was sent back to school. A complete misunderstanding. Even, and matter of fact, how did he even, in sophomore year, like, he was out for a year now. How did he still get good grades and not attend school? His friends, his classmates, they had to make sure that he was caught up. Hey, we got an exam coming up, so I suggest you study this. I will do. So he hasn't left the house until junior year. He came back to school in junior year after being somehow indefinitely suspended in sophomore year for drugs that he didn't possess. Well, however, the high school still let Shanice and Bruno go. Stupid. And David was definitely depressed for a couple years. But until then, what more can he do but keep his grades up? He cares so much about Suzanne. He decided he would spend his whole life making better decisions, wise decisions. But he didn't face his giants because now his giants are gone. Graduated high school in class of 86. Ain't that a snitch? But senior year, 87, 88. He had some bad nights sleeping, tossing and turning, day in, day out. Couldn't get a good night's rest. One early morning, and this was October, and this was like he was about to celebrate the third year morning for Suzanne. He woke up early in the morning, like 5 in the morning. No, make that 4. 4 in the morning. He woke up at 4 a.m. He decided to get up and put this so-called depression to an end. He got up early in the morning, said his prayers, and he started to get his book bag packed up. He ate breakfast, and let's just say that he walked to school. What? You got up early, ate breakfast, got yourself ready for school, and you just walked to school. Why? Because he was tired of being in the same position that caused him to slow down and feel guilty. He was tired of this guilt. But unfortunately, he spotted two familiar faces. And that was Bruno and Shanice. They were just hanging out, having a good time. They're responsible for the death for Suzanne's suicide. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to expose them one day if it's the last thing I do. So he decided to come up with a master plan to get them back. The big payback for Suzanne. Yeah. So after school, he decided to take pictures and even write why he was dealing with depression. Matter of fact, he didn't just write it. He made a video about it. And everybody who went to high school with him and was humiliated as much as he was, the lower classmen who grew up. Some became seniors along with David. Others were juniors. And so, yeah, you get it. Anyway. And some of the class of 86 individuals checked out the video too, including the parents of Suzanne. They knew exactly. He told exactly who was responsible for Suzanne's suicide. He exposed them and caused the school board of that same high school to meet up with the police officers that got David suspended for having weed which was not his in a prank. So they spotted Bruno and Shanice chilling at their so-called hangout. The police did, along with the angry crowd. Hey yo, that's them! But cameras flashing at him. What's going on? What's the paparazzi? Hey, it wasn't me. It wasn't me, Shanice. Like, what's going on? Aren't you two Bruno and Shanice that went to high school with this person? Yeah. So what? Well, haven't you consider it dead? Well, didn't you know that the person you bullied committed suicide 2 years ago? Yeah. No. They lied. But unfortunately, one of the guys, one of the classmates of theirs, it was like, they lying, officer. Sir, how can you tell? Look, we all saw the video. We all played the video to the entire school, and they were the ones that like high five, like, yeah, we got him good. And they even got handcuffed. Like, hey, what are you doing? We're in college. Oh, no, you're not. You both didn't do a good job. And what made matters worse, why would you arrest us? Because I am the one that exposed you. David, along with Suzanne's parents, they appeared, and ain't that a shame? You made our daughter kill herself because of your evil deeds. And for that, you might as well be locked up. So yes, Suzanne's parents and John and the whole town was mad at Shanice and Bruno for their infamous gags. And yes, they didn't even spend 10 months in prison. They actually, Shanice, she spent 20, while John spent 15 because he admitted, and his sentence was actually 20 as well, but he got out 5 minutes earlier for 5 years early for good behavior and freely confessing to the cops that he and Shanice did the crimes when he did the gags and felt completely responsible for the behavior, and which they were hated upon. But unfortunately, after getting released, some random John Doe spotted him walking out and decided to pull the trigger on him. Shot Bruno dead in broad daylight. But what's funny about it, the person that killed Bruno after being released from prison, he was rocking a t-shirt that said, "Justice for Suzanne." Wait a minute. This all took place in 87. And here we are, 2002. Bruno gets killed by a man who wore a t-shirt that says "Justice for Suzanne." That was like 18 years ago, even though it's fictional. What about Shanice? Since she heard the news about her partner in crime being gunned down in broad daylight while still serving prison, she only got 15 more years, 5 more years to go. People started to lose interest in her. And that's what happened. But meanwhile, David, in graduation night in 1988, when his name was called, everybody, including his classmates, they stood for him. Everybody gave him a standing ovation. And woo! Cheering. Because since he was dealing with depression, he decided he stopped the madness for good. This so-called disease, this drug, this addiction. Because sometimes with an addiction like depression, you start to realize that you're losing energy. You stop caring. You stop doing everything that you love. But David had his final say. He got a lot of standing ovation. And he even made everybody proud to stand up and do something. He finally realized that you can't just do it one time. You got to do it more than once. If someone tries to fight you or get on your bad side, you got to stand up for yourself. Even though it can be 100% of a failure, you have to make it successful. Learn from your failures. Get rid of the darkness. That's what David had to set his mind on. Instead of pulling the trigger like Suzanne did, he decided he got to keep on fighting. Because he was the one that gave Suzanne some good advice. But Suzanne decided to take her life into her own hands. And this is a message for all people who are getting bullied. And even dealing with problems like, you don't listen to me, you're going to have to be on your own. I thought we was cool. You got to think, like, if people tell you that you're going too far, or people making you feel bad, and you decide to kill yourself over it, or overdose and whatnot, you got to think first. Like, wait a minute. Who am I trying to impress? Who am I trying to... Why am I going to turn out like this? Do I want to see myself end up in hell? No. Do I want to see myself end up alone and vulnerable? No. You rid your vulnerability by overcoming depression and put God in the position. He'll guide you through the situation. That's something that Suzanne could have done, but since she pulled the trigger on herself and caused David to be depressed for a couple of years, he decided he's going to do it different. He's not going to go fall for the suicide attempts. And this is what happens when you let people put you in a bad position to the fact that you're depressed, or you let your own mind state, your own heart lead you to guilt and being depressed. If I was depressed, what would I do? I've been depressed. I've sat by myself so many times. I lost energy. I feel guilty for what I've done. But have I ever smoked a blunt? Have I ever drank malt liquor? No. Sometimes I feel like you got to start clear. And drinking water is one way to get your mind clear, like make you think like, man. Okay. Cause with water, that's like a way to help, like one way to help you clear your mind. Like start over again. Like be pure, be clear. You know what I'm saying? So, that's all you need to know. And with all that being said, if you enjoyed the story and how I felt about like what you can learn from dealing with depression, all you got to do is find a way to avoid it, like overcome it. Overcome your depression. Don't try to do anything negative. Overcome it, because now is the time. We ain't got forever. Some of us will die out day after day, but you never know. So with all that being said, thank you very, very much for spending your quality time with my first episode of Cold Man's Winter Season 2, and there will be more in stores. As long as you like, comment, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's TC Jones Edits, for those that didn't know. And just like last season, this debut episode of Cold Man's Winter Season 2 is brought to you by Sweet Lady of the Week. But unfortunately, this sweet lady, I decided to dedicate this to her. God rest her soul. So this episode goes out to none other than my mentor, my late great mentor and a friend. In other words, this video is dedicated to Miss Laurel Fuller, 1963 through 2020, Jackson State Community College for life. And to all individuals who succumbed to the virus, and I really sorry about what happened. All condolences goes out to you, as much as the Laurel Fuller family. All condolences goes out to them as well. So thank you very much for watching Cold Man's Winter Season 2, Episode 1, Depression. And this is yours truly, Taylor Jones, signing out. And once again, have yourself a safe, blessed, Merry Christmas.